Thanks for checking out our videos online. I think you're going to really enjoy this series. If you would, please take a moment after watching the video and rate it or leave a comment. This will enable us to post many more lessons like this in this series. Thanks. Welcome to Blues for Piano and Keyboard. This is the second half of Chapter 8. Now let's take a look at that static riff from Chapter 6. Now, I'm not going to go through and describe all the fingering from that static riff. We did that in Chapter 6, so you can go back to Chapter 6 if you need to. Now, remember, in the audio file that we just listened to, I told you the long extended version of this static riff is made by playing the static riff from Chapter 6 with a little connector, and then playing the static riff from Chapter 6 an octave lower again. So what we really need to find out now is how to play that connector. Here's the connector. Very simple. Here it is one more time. Now you can probably guess what I'm going to show you next. We're going to play the whole shebang. The static riff up high, the connector in the middle, followed by the static riff down low. And then in the next section of this chapter, we'll use it in the blues. Okay, here we go. Here's the static riff up high. Here comes the connector. Here comes the static riff down low. Okay, then that's nice and slow, but eventually once you get up to speed and add the left hand with it, which I'll show you later, is what it sounds like. Okay, now let me show you how to use this long static riff, the extended version, in the blues. Let me show you one more thing before I play the blues. Using the connector, you can play this extended static riff all the way down the keyboard. Now, it's a little showy, it's a little dramatic, but every musician's got to have a few tricks in the bag, right? I mean, drummers can twirl their sticks, so we can play extended static riffs all the way down the keyboard. Listen to this. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, it's a little flashy, but we like to have stuff like that going on. Just keeps a little life in the music. Now, I know this is probably obvious to you, but just for the sake of clarity, let me state the obvious. Let me tell you how we made that static riff roll all the way down the keyboard. First, we started really high, up with a static riff, followed by the connector, followed by the static riff an octave lower, followed by the connector, lower yet, right? Static riff, connector, static riff. Right, it's a song that never ends. Now let's go on and use this static riff to have some fun through the 12-bar blues. Here we go. At this point in the blues course, you're either really digging in and loving this stuff, or maybe you're scratching your head and wishing you could understand it just a little more. If that's the case, you really need our original course. The link to the original course can be found at the top of KeyboardBlues.com. Go there, and it'll give you a video demo of what it means to play by ear using the revolutionary technique of rhythmic patterns. Then you can come back and take all this blues information along with the patterns that you'll learn in the original course, and you'll be able to apply them to any music that you'd like to be able to play completely apart from sheet music by ear. So if you really want to study, and if you want to become a great musician that can play by ear, check out and buy the original course. It's really not that expensive, but it's very, very thorough, and it'll get you up to speed quickly. Now, if you can stand it, I want to show you one more thing before I use this extended static riff in the 12-bar blues. Think back to some of the real early chapters in this blues course. Do you remember the very first riff I taught you? It was called Riff Number 1. Sounded like this. Okay, it's very simple. Go back and review those chapters if you need to. The reason I'm bringing it up is because we're going to use that in the upcoming audio clip of the 12-bar blues that I'm about to play. But I'm going to use it a little differently than we used it earlier. I'm going to play it up really high and twice in a row, like this. Right? Just real quickly. With the left hand, it sounds like this. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to teach you that you can take all these riffs and use them in your own unique way. After all, that's the goal of all of our courses, to teach you many different patterns and many different skills, and then teach you to weave them together in your own unique way so that you can become a creative musician. That's where the real fun is. Let's go on to the next section. Well, you know an awful lot of stuff by now, but you know there's really an infinite number of ways that you could put it together. Here's one version. Well, now there's a whole lot of notes that you learned off the internet. Isn't that amazing? This blows my mind. I hope you'll stay tuned for some more blues lessons. Till then, practice, practice. This is David Sprunger from PlayPianoTOday.com. Thanks for tuning in.